So let's talk budgeting. The importance of setting a budget, one that is specific to you, your values and goals, is a financial habit that cannot be overemphasized. If you and your family want financial security, having a budget in place is the best way forward. But first, what exactly is a budget or budgeting, and what is its purpose? Budgeting is the process of creating a plan to spend your money. Creating this spending plan allows you to determine in advance whether you will have enough money to do the things that you need and also the things that you would like to do. So budgeting in its simplest form is balancing your expenses with your income. Now, budgeting can often have very negative connotations attached. The majority of people don't budget, and the reasons tend to be it's too time consuming. And yes, it takes up time, but once you have a budget in place and you are familiar with it, as little as 1 hour per month can be enough to invest in it. And yes, it's boring, but in fact, in my view, the more boring, the better. So let's look at it like this. We know it's good for us and it will lead to a financially healthier life, as exercising leads us to a fitter and healthier life, right? So do you know many people who really love to exercise, to run on a treadmill? I mean, not many people genuinely enjoy that. Most will say it's boring and time consuming, but they will also say they are always glad and feel better and stronger once it's done and see the benefits over time. So think of budgeting in the same way. And I promise, once you start seeing your financials going in the right direction, you will look forward to reviewing your budget, to finding more ways to save, or to set aside money to invest towards your goals. And as you are financially fitter, you will get addicted to that feeling and crave it more, which of course just makes it easier. Another reason people don't like to budget is it makes them feel restricted or constrained. And yes, unfortunately, sometimes budgeting does require restriction with your money, but ideally only for a period of time. So for example, if you have credit card debt, it is wise to pay it off as quickly as possible. So you may budget to reduce spend on socializing, eating out, or takeaways, for example, and put that money towards paying off your credit card debt. But it's only for a period of time. You're protecting your future self. So budgeting in the right way with the right mindset will feel freeing, will give you a sense of control, clarity, and achievement. And surely that outweighs any temporary periods of restriction. And on this point too, we very often don't realize the amount we actually spend on a daily basis, those small amounts that add up. And when you budget, you're not only balancing your income against your expenses, you're gaining clarity and knowledge. And we all know knowledge is power. For example, would you rather have 2 takeaway deliveries every week, or would you rather put that approximately 10,000 per year towards something like a deposit for a home, planning for your retirement, a nice holiday maybe, or a training course you've always wanted to take but felt you couldn't afford or indulge in? So budgeting provides the clarity to help you make decisions so that you can spend your money within your values. Another comment I get is it's too complicated. Again, my advice, keep it simple. The simpler, the better. It's more about mindset than numbers, so you don't need to be an accountant or a master of spreadsheets to be good at budgeting. You just need to do it in a way that works for you. Denial. Well, what is denial? It's fear. The problem with fear is it can trick us into thinking something is worse than it actually is. So be kind to yourself. Face that fear, and what perceived mistakes you made in the past are just that. They're in the past. The best thing you can do is to get clarity on where you are financially now and start making plans from there. Don't beat yourself up if you have debt or you aren't where you think that you should be or where you want to be. So what is the best way to clear your debt if you have it, or to get to where you want to be? To plan for it. And what is a budget? It's a plan. So, if you are afraid of what you will find out if you start budgeting, think of what will happen if you continue the way you are. I mean, is that going to get you to a better place financially within 12 months? Or would a budget probably help you get somewhere better? If not facing up to what you fear seeing in those numbers and then setting a budget, is it really less stressful than what you're feeling now? Or is it wise to ignore? The other thing I get a lot is you don't know how to budget. Now, we are not taught this skill in school. It's normal to not know how to budget. So use the template I provided or Google budgeting templates. You will find thousands online. So find one that resonates with you, keep it simple and just get started. It will evolve as you become more comfortable with budgeting and you understand your needs and your wants and your ambitions. So make sure that it's flexible. So on that note, let's talk about positive budgeting. So what is positive budgeting? In short, I believe it's a mindset. So changing your view of budgeting from a negative one of restriction and constraint to a positive one where it's going to improve your life will change how you approach and feel about budgeting. So having that positive mindset will simply make it all easier. Now, I believe budgeting is such a crucial life skill or habit, like exercising, eating healthy, getting enough sleep. It takes focus, discipline, time and commitment, and it needs to be tailored to you. But like exercising and eating healthy, the benefits far outweigh the time, effort and work they require to achieve. So how do we approach budgeting positively? The following are the benefits of budgeting, so let's focus on those. Budgeting provides clarity. Now, I believe this is the best benefit of all. There is so much power in knowing exactly how much you earn and how much you spend and where exactly you're spending it. Very often people know roughly how much they spend, but it's all in their heads and then can't understand why they're not saving every month. Very few of us can run spreadsheets in our head. We cannot have full clarity without looking at the actual numbers and not estimated numbers or what we kind of tally up as we remember the last month. Budgeting provides accountability. Now, it's inherent when you have to answer to yourself at the end of the month, what is that accountability and is that going to influence the decisions you make? Budgeting helps you avoid debt, especially credit card debt. Budgeting helps you to save money because you both build in what you plan to save and also people who have budgets have been proven to spend less. So positive budgeting helps you to ensure you are spending within your values, and that is using your money to build a life that is in line with your values and ambitions. Language is so powerful. The words we use to describe something has a direct impact on how we feel about it. So when it comes to budgeting, what language do you use? Have a think about that. For example, would you say you are on a budget? Or would you say you have a budget? Now, to me, there is a significant difference in those two sentences. If you are on a budget, chances are you are focused on spending as little as possible. You are saying no a lot as you feel you are not allowed to spend. You end up missing out on so much of life because you feel shame about spending on what you now consider frivolous activities, items or events, which sometimes are just about having a life. It feels restrictive and let's face it, very few can sustain being on a budget long term. And would you really want to? I mean, I don't think it sounds very joyous, it doesn't sound very fun, and it certainly doesn't sound sustainable. So what happens when you don't stick to this strict budget? We feel shame, we feel a failure, and more often than not, we end up just giving up altogether. However, having a budget is having a plan and it allows for flexibility. It's consciously deciding how you are going to use your money to live the life that you want. It's telling your money what to do as opposed to telling yourself what you can't do. It's freeing, it reduces stress, it provides clarity, and it can even be exciting and motivating. So think of all those financial goals your budget will help you achieve. Maybe buy a house, travel the world, be debt-free, invest for an early retirement. What is important to you? It's very much part of my manifestation exercises because I'm planning what my money is going to do. Remember, it's about deciding what you want and can do with money, not just telling yourself what you can't do. But of course, there are going to be things that maybe you can't do if your income doesn't allow for it. And that's where goals come in. If there's something that you want to buy but potentially can't afford, something you want to achieve or do, and it involves money that you don't yet have, set a goal and find a way to do it, using your budget as a tool to help you get there. Now that could be budgeting to save for what you want to do, maybe by cutting unnecessary costs. Sometimes you don't even realize you're spending until you look at your budget and put that money towards your goal. Or find a way to increase your income. Without the financial clarity your budget provides, how would you know where the gaps are? How would you know what financial habits need changing? So when we approach budgeting with a positive attitude and mindset, it feels natural and supports us to live our best lives. Remember, it should be flexible and sustainable as opposed to stressful and unsustainable. So review it regularly. It should change as your circumstances change. For example, if your income increases, my recommendation would be to increase your savings or investment allocation by that amount that you've had in your increase. Or if you have debt, add the increase to your debt repayments and get that debt paid off quicker and cheaper. On the other side, if your income decreases, your budget contains the information you need to consciously and accurately determine where you need to reduce spend in a way that works for you. If your budget feels restrictive and is holding you back from living your life, then maybe it's time to change that approach and look at it slightly differently. How do we get started? Think about your values and financial goals first. What is important to you and your family? And then build a budget and set some financial goals that support those values. That is putting your money behind your values. Next, list out your recurring expenses. Day-to-day spending, non-recurring and random expenses. Your bank account and credit card are a great source of information if you don't yet know what you're spending on, such as how much you spend on groceries, how much your takeaways are, how much your taxis are in total. Document your debt, how much each payment is each month and when is it due, so you have that information and you're clear. Ensure you have access to online banking before you start, so it's easy to get your financial information as you go through the process. Remember the 50-20-30 rule. This is a good rule of thumb to start with, and that is 50% of your income should go towards needs such as mortgage, rent, groceries, transport to work, utilities. Then aim for at least 20% towards savings and investments or maybe debt repayment for a period of time. And then no more than 30% on everything else. And that is eating out, fun activities, subscriptions you enjoy but maybe don't actually need. Carve out time in your calendar to update and review your budget at least once a month. Make that time non-negotiable. Remember, it's an investment in you, your family and your future. Now, this is not a time to be a perfectionist. Your financial situation will evolve. Very few people get 100% right every month or even ever. So be kind to yourself. It's like building a muscle. It takes repetition and time to grow. Now, accountability is key. So did you know planning to do something means you are 50% more likely to do it? Committing to someone to do it will get you to 65% chance of achieving it. But having a specific accountability appointment means you are 95% more likely to achieve your goal. So set a time with someone you trust. Make it a non-negotiable and review your budget together. And then remember, separate to this video, I have provided an instruction video and a budgeting template you can use to set yourself a monthly budget that works specifically for you. So go check it out. Face it head on. Your future self and your bank account will thank you.